And the transfer portal has been chaos. And not only does Indiana have to worry about the transfer portal, well, they're still in the Final Four when it comes to the college football playoffs, one win, and they're going to make it to their national championship game, potentially win their first ever national championship. But Curt Cignetti is doing double duty, man. He is not slowing down, absolutely crushing the powerhouse, crushing the transfer portal, and really asking the question, are they a new powerhouse in college football? Not just because they've looked good over the last 2 years, but they are turning into a premier spot for transfers to go to. Look at what Indiana has done so far. Portal opened on Friday. In the first weekend, they bring in quarterback Josh Hoover from TCU. Looks like he's going to be the replacement for Mendoza. Continue on the Cignetti quarterback train. Turbo Richard, the running back from Boston College, brings him in, absolute stud. Nick Marsh, wide receiver from Michigan State, absolute stud. Thought he was going to Notre Dame. Nope, goes to Indiana. Brings in Tobias Usami from Kansas State, absolute elite pass rusher. I think he's very underrated. And then you bring in Josh Burnham, defensive lineman from Notre Dame, and Preston Zachman from Wisconsin, the safety. Just in one weekend, they bring in 6 studs to continue this thing in Indiana. Are we looking at a brand new powerhouse in college football? A new blue blood, if you will?
We are. And it's not actually Indiana. It's Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti is the guy. I mean, it's really not Indiana. It's the head coach. And this is absolutely a situation that, and this is a hypothetical, but like what happened to Iowa State when Matt Campbell left, there's nobody there. If Curt Cignetti left Indiana, it would become the barren wasteland it was just 3 years ago. It absolutely would. I am in shock of how fast Curt Cignetti has turned this program around, but that in conjunction with the few comments he's been making, he just seems to constantly have the exact right answer at every single turn. We heard him talking, I don't know where this was or what this was about, but the clips floating around of him talking about like, hey, we don't work long hours if we don't have to. Our practices are like an hour 35, hour 45, walk through Monday, shorter walk through Friday. Coaches, when you get all your stuff done, just go home. Like, you don't have to stay late. Like, he is building. Everyone wants to talk about culture. That's literally what he's doing. That is exactly what this is. And so then you have guys like a Nick Marsh, who I am unfortunately extremely sad that he will not be an Iowa State Cyclone next year. I know everybody was really on the edge of their seat. They thought might happen. But like Josh Hoover, Nick Marsh, Turbo Richard, like these guys want to play here. It doesn't have to become a bidding war. And in that, Indiana then doesn't have to bid as high. You have the leverage in your back pocket of, okay, well, we have Curt Cignetti. And if you want to compete for a national title, compete for a Big Ten title, this is kind of the place to do it. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this. And Curt Cignetti is, I mean, it's way too early to say this, but he's so similar to Nick Saban in like the whole not reacting to anything. And he comes from his coaching tree, and he's talked about the 1 year that, he spent with Saban. He learned more in 27 years prior as far as coaching and how to run a program. Like, there is an element of he is the dynasty. It's not IU. It's Curt Cignetti. When you log on and play college football 26 and you take, Akron Zips to their national title, and then you leave to go coach LSU, does Akron continue competing for national titles? No, you're the head coach. You're the one that built that program. Wherever you go is going to be successful. That's what it feels like with Curt Cignetti in Indiana right now.
It's almost bad for the game. And the only reason I say that is because he's destroying any excuses that coaches can have for needing multiple years to rebuild a program. He's destroying any excuse. And the only reason I say it's bad for the game is because now we're seeing so many coaching firings happening from, inadequate performance right off the bat. But on the flip side, what he's doing is so incredible. It's so impressive. And you're right. He's changing the game. Now, if he left Indiana, I think it would go right back down to being one of the bottom teams in the Big Ten. They would have to really figure out what they were going to do unless the boosters jumped up and said, we have to go find a guy to make sure this keeps floating around. It reminds me of kind of like, not in the same sense of performance-wise, but just a sense of importance, like what Deion Sanders did at Colorado. How down they were in Colorado, him coming there, and just like the things he did off the field make him so valuable. It's incredible. Even though Colorado didn't have a great season, it's almost like you can't get rid of him because he's so valuable off the field, bringing in money to this program. One thing we know about football is that football makes the entire university better. It makes the program better, whatever. And Indiana is a basketball school, but for how much longer? That's the big question. For years, for decades, Indiana's been known as a basketball school. They don't make movies about Indiana football, but they probably are going to. They're probably going to.
Will.
Now, Gene Hackman unfortunately won't be in it, but they might make an Indiana football movie now with Curt Cignetti.
Dude, what he is doing is just like it's unheard of. It is simply unreal. I think a good question is, with this class, do you think that they'll be? It's a stupid question, but do you think they'll be at the top of the Big Ten next year? I think
100%,
absolutely.
and they're not done. That's the crazy part. This is just the first weekend, but they got their quarterback and Josh Hoover, and he had his ups and downs with TCU this past season. But last year, he was a 4,000-yard passer, I think, or very close to. I think in 2024.
He's incredible.
And he's going to be right back there with Curt Cignetti. This is why, if you have any type of potential on trying to up your draft stock, why wouldn't you want to go to Indiana? How crazy is that I just said that out loud?
It's the place to go. And that's what I'm talking about with the, it's Cignetti. It's not Indiana. It is the place to go if you want to win the Heisman, if you want to win a college football playoff game, dominate the Rose Bowl. You go to Indiana. Curt Cignetti will get you right, as they say.
Do you think Josh Hoover is going to be an early candidate for the Heisman just because of where he transferred to?
Oh, yeah. He was incredible at TCU. He did have his moments, but like some of the balls he was throwing up, man, he is very, very talented. And I just know for a fact that in Curt Cignetti's twisted little brain, he is going to find a perfect way to use Josh Hoover and utilize all of his strengths. If you're asking literally like before having thrown even a snap, I think he'll still be in that conversation. I don't know if he'll be like the odds on favorite or anything like that. But I do think that like after game 1, game 2, game 3, yes, Josh Hoover will be in the top 3, top 4 of Heisman consideration next season.